when it comes to the AFC West, there's the Kansas City Chiefs and then really everyone else. That's because the Chiefs are the only one in this division not to have an over-under win total of 7.5 games. Now, for that analysis, we go to Frank Tadeo, our fantasy and gambling analyst here at Sports Illustrated, and our Broncos editor, Chad Jensen. Fellas, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Bill.
Good to be with you.
Frankie, I'll go to you. We'll start at the bottom of the division, at least how they fared in 2019, with the Chargers only winning 5 games, and the Raiders, who will now play in your hometown of Las Vegas in 2020. They also finished with 7 wins on the year. How do the sports books project them to finish in 2020?
Yeah, Bill. Both the oddsmakers right now have both clubs with win totals of 7.5 games. But as we know with the Raiders, they have not won the AFC West since back in 2001. And I'm not so sure that the additions of Marcus Mariota as well as Jason Witten are going to help them break that streak. I would lean towards betting the under 7.5 in their prop. However, the San Diego Chargers, as we know, they're going to be moving into a new stadium. They're moving into SoFi Stadium, and they're going to need some star power. I'm not really sure that right now, with the losses of both Phillip Rivers and Melvin Gordon, if they can actually reach this win total. They would need to improve by 3 games off last year's 5-11 campaign just to be able to reach this total, and I'm not so sure they can. So I tend to lean towards the under. However, if they were able to convince Cam Newton to come play out west and put on a Chargers uniform, I would tend to lean towards the over if that were to occur, because I have more faith in Cam Newton than I do in Tyrod Taylor.
Cam Newton certainly seems like he would fit in perfectly in that Los Angeles lifestyle. Chad, let's go over to you. Talk about the Denver Broncos. They signed Melvin Gordon. What do you make of the Broncos outlook for 2020?
Well, the over-under, I believe it's 7.5. And honestly, I'll take the over, even though the offseason is incomplete at this point. You still got the draft rolling around. I'm going to take the over because Drew Lock finished 4-1. You got infusions of talent, Melvin Gordon. Broncos acquired also Jarrell Casey, who's been to 5 consecutive Pro Bowls, big defensive lineman from Tennessee, as well as a lockdown number 1 corner for the team in A.J. Bouye. So with the overall feeling in Denver right now is that this is a team on the rise, a team on the come. I think they'll end up a little bit closer to 9 wins when it's all said and done.
Does John Elway think that he's really made this team and kind of compiled this roster into a legit playoff contender? I just can't see them really competing with the Chiefs, though, at this point.
Skepticism, I think, at this stage is warranted because it's been 4 years since this team went to the playoffs. And honestly, even though they've made a few impressive acquisitions since free agency opened, you have to also recognize that they've faced a veritable exodus in talent with guys like Chris Harris Jr., Derek Wolfe, Shelby Harris, Will Parks leaving. So even though Harris and Shelby Harris, that is, and Derek Wolfe remain unsigned, it doesn't appear as if they're coming back to Denver. So you might as well write them off for now as departures. So it's fair, but again, the key for the Broncos right now is they've wandered the QB desert. They haven't had a franchise QB since Peyton Manning hung up his cleats. And the feeling internally is that they finally do have that in Drew Lock. And I think there is some proof in that pudding if you look back to those last 5 games in 2019 in which Drew Lock was inserted as a starter week 13 on. The Broncos finished the season 4-1.
Yeah, I thought Drew Lock definitely looked pretty good as a rookie. Frankie, let's wrap it up. Let's talk about these defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. What's their over-under looking like for their win total?
Yeah, well, Bill, an early look at it, my model projects the Chiefs to win 13 games. So I would actually lay the little bit of the extra juice, the added juice right now, and lay the $1.40 and go over 11.5 wins. Patrick Mahomes and company, they're not only the class of the AFC West in this division, but they are possibly even still the class in the entire league. I would go over 11.5 with confidence.
We'll see if anyone can catch up to the reigning Super Bowl champion Chiefs in 2020, especially when it comes to that AFC West division. I think it's going to be a tough task. Chad, Frank, thanks so much for joining me today. Great analysis as always.